Hey guys, I'm in my kayak on beautiful Greer's Ferry Lake. And man, I'm hoping to get some fish in them. I've got do you guys see the Mojawa bone conduction headphones? What I have noticed is if I have my sunglasses on, I'm putting pressure on the tabs here, it actually sounds a lot better. And the cool thing is while I'm paddling, I don't have to worry about these getting wet because remember, you can swim with these things on. Hey, that's gonna be a fish on right there. Perfect time. That's a good sized little bass there. Let me see here. Cool, man. Got me a fish. Listening to Coldplay out here with the Mojawa bone conduction headphones. All right, buddy.
Get off my hand!
Tomatoes!
I'm talking about how you're going to come into frame. I'm talking about climbing a tree with the bike. Don't hurt the Malus, please.
I'm gonna slow roll it. Oh, hang on.
Wow. That was amazing.
Wolf Tick Nation, thank you guys for tuning into once again another Wolf Tick Videos episode. We are glad that you guys are here because on today's episode, it's fork day, baby. We have got the all-new Bucklos Tice triple tree fork that we are fixing to do a little real-time review for you guys on. It's our first air fork that is on a fat tire bike. That's right. So Wolfman definitely will have a vested interest in this fork because if it goes good, it's going to be a real-time review. If it goes good, we're going to be slapping this thing on his e-bike. So I'm sure you're excited about that.
Well, I have mixed feelings about changing my e-bike out.
Yeah.
This fork might not end up on my e-bike regardless.
Yeah,
it might just stay right there on the Malus.
It might just stay right here in the Malus. So we might go back to the rigid one, but Bucklos was really wanting to make sure that Wolfman had a fork for his e-bike, right?
Well, I don't know how much they wanted to make sure.
Well, they wanted to make sure of that. And they also wanted to promote their website. So guys, if you are interested in this Bucklos fork or maybe some of their other Bucklos forks or some of their wheel sets, you guys can go to that bucklos.com link down in the description below. But without further ado, man, I am super excited to get back on the Monster Malus. We're going to go to the Triple C right here behind me, doing the real-time review on this fork. We're not going to be rating this fork, guys. Nope. You know, we're not going to be jumping it. It's not going to have big scores and small scores.
I didn't feel like scoring it was appropriate since we weren't going to jump it.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll get in depth on the real-time review for you. So without further ado, man, let me get suited up and let's get after it, guys.
Are you going to try maybe some different pressures in it then, possibly?
Yeah, I might. I don't know. Maybe. We'll play with it a little bit. All right. Let's do this. Alright guys, here we go with the Mongoose Malus with the Bucklos Tice up front. Now this fork measured out, we measured it in the shop with the compression ring at 130.8 millimeters of travel. So I think we'll get right at 130. Now I want to let everybody know I was going on this trail, starting to ride down here and see the condition of this little jump down. And as soon as I went to check out this little jump, I looked down on my stanchion and I had noticed that there was actually, the compression ring had gotten sucked up into the dust shield. So I tried to pull it out, but the damn thing broke. So we do not have a compression ring now. So hopefully you guys will be able to see some of the travel on the stanchion. But yeah, that got sucked in there, and that's a bummer. Let's see if we can hit this little feature here. Okay, well, the bike's a little bit loud, the fork not so much. The fork actually seems to be pretty smooth during this real-time review. We got another little pile of rocks here. It's actually sucking up stuff okay. Okay, that's not bad at all. It feels a little shaky up front. And now you can get these little, I don't know what you call these here. You know, these little bars, they're movable. You can move them if you guys watch the initial impressions video. So it was kind of sketchy because you don't really know how tight or how loose you need to go with them. So I tightened them, but the fear is that they're actually going to slide down, and that was just a headache all in itself. But up here, what I'm getting at is we've got the most amount of, I guess, slack, because we've got them set all the way up to the top of the stanchions, right? And the thing is, now when I go to steer, the bike almost gets stuck. There's a little deer there. The bike almost gets stuck in pointing in that direction, if that makes sense. All right, you know, the fork's not feeling too bad. We've got 70 PSI in it, but I could see somebody wanting to actually drop that front end down a little bit, which is completely possible, but then you run the whole risk. I'm not gonna hit that feature, that's a little big. Then you run the whole risk like we had in the GT Aggressor Pro a while back with its triple tree downhill fork. You run the risk of that tire rubbing on that lower portion there. So I don't know what to really think about this design. The design looks really cool. Like, it's an awesome looking fork, you know what I mean? And for $150 is what Bucklos is selling this fork for. I mean, if you want to, you know, kind of church up your bike a little bit, man, and really make it look a lot cooler, that's a pretty cheap way to do it. But we'll find out and see if the performance is all that. And, you know, the interesting thing is this fork is actually intended for e-bikes. So it's supposed to handle a bunch of weight, but I think the max rider weight on the sticker on the back goes up to 220 pounds. All right, I've got a little rock garden here. We're going to kind of slow roll it, and we'll see how this fork performs. Okay, a little bouncy in the front end. I don't have very much pressure. A little bouncy in the front end. And honestly, it kind of feels like it's almost a rigid fork. That's 70 PSI, but I want you guys to pay attention to this. I'm going to stand up and put my weight on it. I mean, there's a lot of travel there. We'll, you know, we're not going to be doing a rating on this episode, but we're definitely going to be talking about this thing and doing a conclusion. But if you guys are a fan of our fork videos and our real-time review, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you're not a part of the Wolftick Nation just yet. But 150 bucks. Very cool looking fork. The downside to it right now is the adjustment that we had to do with raising this up so high. Like I said, it kind of feels like the bike is almost getting stuck steering in certain directions. It's not very playful up front. In the smalls, it doesn't really feel like it's doing a lot in the smalls department. I mean, I kind of forced it back there when I hit that little feature to move, but okay, I felt the hit there, and I felt it absorb decent. It is a shame that we lost that damn compression ring where we had to pull it off there and it ended up breaking. That's a bummer. I've never seen a compression ring get sucked into a little dust shield deal before, so that's very interesting. But I know a lot of times I like those compression rings to be on there, not only to set up the sag, but also to, you guys can see that visual, you know, you can see it moving. And me whenever I watch the footage back. Yeah, so the smalls definitely don't feel too impressive, and that might be just because of the amount of slack that we've got on this bike, but you really can't go any lower. I was kind of worried about that tire making contact with that lower portion there. And remember, guys, we did add some fork lube to this bike. Let me hit this little feature here. Oh, not bad. Not bad in the front end. Let me kind of put my weight forward on this little bridge there. Okay, it's really not too bad, but we added some fork lube because the stanchions were sticky, and that definitely helped. But even right now, the stanchions still do feel a little sticky. You know what I mean? They feel like they're kind of getting stuck. And this right here is like, this plays perfect to this kind of fork and what you're going to be riding on a fat tire. Like, this is not a downhill fork, you know, it's got that look to it, but I mean, you know, Bucklos put a sticker on here that says, hey, don't free ride, don't downhill, don't get crazy with it, basically. I mean, we're not, but this is probably the max that this fork is really going to handle. I'm not sure how Wolfman is going to like this fork. I don't know if he's going to want to put it on his e-bike, because it doesn't feel like it's the greatest for a big, heavy rider. I mean, I've got 70 PSI in it right now, and when I put my weight up front, it's drooping down pretty low. I couldn't imagine a whole bunch more pressure on here and actually getting movement out of the fork completely. Like, I just don't think there would be a lot of movement up there due to the pressure. And what we're gonna do is, let's pull off to the side here. Let's take a look at these stanchions. So we're getting some decent travel out of here. I can see all the dust marks. There's actually dust marks way up here. I wonder if that was on that big. So again, maybe we are getting a little bit more travel than I initially thought. But holy crap, this fork, I forgot, does not have rebound. I was reaching down here about to mess with the rebound and it just clicked in my head. There is no rebound on this fork, which is okay. You know, it's not really a huge deal. Again, because you're not going to be riding a whole bunch of different surfaces with this fork. I mean, the most you're going to do is lock it out and unlock it. At least us, you know what I mean? For like a e-bike, you're not going to be messing with the rebound a whole bunch. If that's what you're going to put it on. So there's no rebound adjustment. And this is what I was talking about here. If you go any lower with this, your suspension, again, comes up here and that tire is going to travel and it might hit that. We've had that on the GT Aggressor Pro before. It did not like that whatsoever. So that's going to be, that's scary. And that automatically turns into this having to be right on the brink of not really grabbing anymore on the upper part of the stanchion. So the problem with that is I can hit the manual compression lock or the lockout, but over here on the air, I don't think I could actually put a fork pump in there, guys. I think that's going to be impeded with the bar. I think the bar is going to impede with that. Okay, I can feel that fork starting to soften up a little bit now. A lot of this rough stuff here. We're gonna try the lockout here in a little bit. And I remember Wolfman was a big fan of the lockout in the shop. It just feels like they could have done a better job, which is interesting because off of the bike, the fork feels really good. But on the bike, I'm missing my rigid fork right now. Okay, let's try the lockout. Locked out completely. All my weight's on the front of the bike. It's not moving whatsoever. Okay, now this is, I can get used to this. I miss this bike being a rigid bike. I miss that fork up front and letting that tire do all the work as far as the suspension is concerned. Okay, we're gonna open it back up. There's hardly enough room for me to get my hand in there for the lockout. Not the greatest in the smalls. The bigs force it to work. As I said, I think if you're going to be looking at getting this fork, you're going to need some fork lube for sure. And we'll do the main conclusion. There's a couple things I want to say about the weight. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Do you have an e-bike that you would be willing to put this on? Do you have this fork? Do you have a regular bike that you'd be willing to put this on? It doesn't need to be an e-bike, but that it says the Tice is for e-bikes, and you would think a real big heavy e-bike, big heavy rider like the Wolfman, big beefy fork, but then you mount this thing on your fat tire bike and it's just not really what it's cracked up to be. You know, and I'm a little disappointed thinking that it was going to be an e-bike fork like it's listed. I would be afraid to put this on this bike. Like I'm going to be taking this off and putting the rigid one back on there. It just does not feel great at all.
Look, I knew it wasn't going to go. The two things that I said, I don't know if it's going to go on my bike. The two things. One, I have to trust the fork. And the fork itself is fine, except for that triple tree design I don't trust.
No.
Triple tree, what's the other term used?
I don't know. There's not really a happy medium with it because...
Dual crown.
Dual crown. The dual crownness on this is very damn sketchy, and it almost felt a couple of times out there like it was going to bunch up on itself and I was going to fall or was going to get wedged into the tire.
I'm going to throw a disclaimer in there. Mm-hmm. You did not tighten it to spec. And I told you...
Well, what is the spec?
Well,
that's the thing. There's no spec.
But I told you to get the torque wrench out, and we need to decide, we try to figure out a NM to tighten it to.
Yeah, and in that case, it's like I would just rather do it by hand because I don't I don't know. Sometimes it's better just to do stuff by hand where you can fill it out, because
no, it's better to go by the specs and torque it.
There's no specs. There's no specs. Is what I'm saying. There's no specs.
We didn't look them up. That's the thing. They didn't come with it, but we didn't try looking them up.
Yeah, I ain't gonna start looking up.
I'm disclaimering because you're making a bunch of accusations, and I'm making sure people understand that we did not do our diligence in looking up and finding the spec and tighten it to spec.
Okay.
So it could just be a fact that it wasn't tightened properly.
As far as that goes. So the headset area and all that is now loose, okay? You know, what was interesting is when we started filling this fork out before we actually installed it on the bike and did the real-time review on it, it felt pretty good quality, did it not? Like, it felt like it was put together pretty good.
The quality of it feels okay, yes.
It felt okay.
I'm not saying that it's not a quality fork. I'm not saying that it won't perform. I'm saying that the design, right when you unveiled what it was, I had doubts because I don't like that design for me.
It's a tough design. All right, Wolf Dick Nation. Well, hopefully you guys appreciate the video, the real-time review. A little disappointed with the Bucklos Tice fork. It's $150. You guys let us know what you think in the comments. Man, until next time, we will see you, Wolf Dick Nation. You guys can check out Bucklos' site in the description below. Were you going to say something?
Yeah.